We've held off, but we've decided it's a good reason. We think it's for the better because it's been so divisive. There's been so much out about it that it's good to
so much
let
stuff.
it
I've changed
settle.
my opinion slightly. I mean, the thing is, I came out so happy.
Yeah. And that affected me with my first viewing. I feel that your influence in enjoying it, I was going, yeah, okay. And then my first viewing, it had sort of boosted it. So I came out comfortable. Yeah. Pretty comfortable. It's what happened to me, and a similar journey to you, is now I'm sitting back and I'm going, well, comfortable. Where was magic? Where was excitement? There's something that of a bit of a magical level that's missing, and I think now a little bit of disillusionment has started coming through.
Yeah, some of that may have to do with how things transpired too.
Yeah.
You know, I saw this thing online where a guy was saying, it really hit the spot because I felt this. This guy was saying, I love the first viewing, but since then I hate it. He used the word hate. And
strong.
he said, it starts and it's beautiful and, it's great special effects and sequences so smooth and lovely to watch. And I thought, yeah, they are. And I really did get off on that. That whole first sequence with Hux and Poe and the X-Wing on the ship and the bombs, and it's so beautifully put together, the slow motion. Even there's sequences where they're yelling and there's no audio and it's just the music. And there's lots of emotion going on in that first scene. It felt real, felt strong. So I remember getting back to it. I was watching it for the first time, and I was thinking, "This is great." And it moves into the next thing, and it's where's Rey? Finn says, "Where's Rey?" And then they're off to the Luke sequence. So it's cutting together really nice. Everything's. Did you find that? What were your thoughts on that first scene, and then how it ran on? Did you feel that it was a nicely flowing movie?
I do. It worked beautifully.
So some of your thoughts through the first few minutes of the movie. What was that like?
I was in heaven. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really funny, and I love how Poe gets on the phone. I'll hold, with Hux, and I loved it. Is Hux there? And it smacked of a everyday realism that something we could encounter something similar on the phone on your local electricity provider. But to have it there in Star Wars immediately gave it a sort of a jumpy realism for me that I loved being inside. A bit of comedy. I've got to say that first scene, the opening scene, I still to this day I have no issue with. I actually quite like that first scene. Yeah, the X-Wing. How's all those shots?
It's great.
And Kevin Smith, famous, loving that. That sort of standstill the X-Wing does, and I agree with him. It was great.
Yeah. And there was the excitement that you want, BB-8's got to get the thing back on track so we can shoot and get the cannon. And there was a bit of tension, excitement that you would have got from a real Lucas quality back in the day, 80s action adventure.
Yes.
It was fun. I think there was, the sense of the action adventure movie in it. But the problem is they take this commodity that we love and it has to follow a certain sequence, and we have such a strong expectation, and those expectations vary between fans as well. You really want to see something, I really want to see something else. We're satisfied by different things. How do you, when you come in, find the common element that all fans are going to enjoy? This is how I'm going to represent Luke, and everyone's going to be happy with it. So, are we just hearing a lot of hate online because haters tend to want to speak more, or is it really that bad? I mean, now you're hearing that it hasn't done so well in Asia, and
China, They've never really particularly liked Star Wars as it is, but
I thought they hit some sort of bad record for really poor second week box office.
Then there's some records that it is standing up to too. I don't know what it is. It's biggest week over in the States or biggest weekend. I can't think for at least for the year. I think though, getting back to what you said though on people? Are they just haters? Do haters just like to talk more, or is it that bad? And I'm thinking it's more around, I've thought a little bit about this lately, it's more around what it's done to those that it's affected, in that you've got your Luke fans, you've got your people that saw Luke and the hero story is something quite personal and something they really held on to. Now, the fact that I think he's been, and other things have been, like the Force, other concepts have been tampered with to their mind, there's a bit of a pain, and there's a bit of a, a real upset about it. So, they're prone to be more vocal. I think the pain is real. I'm not saying that everybody should go on hate, but to just say, oh, fanboy, or just to say, oh, hater, I think is playing down the depth of the feelings the person by and large is feeling.
Understood. Oh, look, I totally. And in all honesty, despite how much I loved and enjoyed watching it, all the stuff I've heard online has really swayed me too, because that's how much value I put in the comments I'm hearing. So I don't discount what's being said. So I'm certainly not just disregarding them.
No, I know you wouldn't. You know what? There's a lot of it going out there. There's a lot of, if you want to call this, sounds crazy, anti-hater sentiment. People that express they didn't like it are getting a bit of a walloping, and on the same side, those that are saying they loved it are getting a walloping. So there's Star Wars is very, at the moment, there's strong parts of it that are somewhat divided against itself on this film.
Well, I mean, getting back to the film itself. So if you were to say, okay, so now you've watched it the first time, you thought you really enjoyed it, and then you've seen it again, and now some concerns, but go back to that first viewing. Were there any sort of reservations? Because for me, even when I was watching the first time, loving it, but then when I was getting through that the Finn and Rose stuff, and I was, this is hard. This is sort of taking its time, these scenes, and every subsequent viewing now, I've grown more tired of that scene to the point where I don't even want to see it. It plays now it serves no purpose, because that their plan comes to nothing anyway. Del Toro's good, so it's good to see him, but he's otherwise, what do you think that Canto bike place?
Yeah, well, one thing about it that always played with me was the red lapel, the guy with the red lapel. And they had to find him. They see him at the table, sort of get within sight of him, and then get stopped. Off they go, and DJ becomes the contact.
And he's like, oh my dear, and he's still playing. And he
does this whole era thing. And it was intentional, and it was a creative decision, an intentional creative decision. But I'm thinking, okay, what are you doing? Why are you doing this homage to that era, just in that? And he turned to nothing. They never met him. Certain things like that, I kind of question why we featured him.
But then again, it reminds me of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The second time around, Steven Spielberg, he's done Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's fantastic. It's sort of a dark and a dingy and a grungy movie. But he starts off Temple of Doom with a song and dance number.
I've seen that scene.
Right?
Yeah, it's a good scene. Yeah,
anything goes,
and the whole thing gets knocked on the floor.
Anything goes. Right, they do that, and it's great. And I felt a bit of that in that scene. The music and the action play out in a very similar sort of a way. And I thought, well, this is nice. He's not incompetent. Ryan Johnson, he's not incompetent. He knows what he's doing. He puts together beautiful movies. Maybe some consultation on the script.
Well, he worked for the story group
with
Hidalgo and right. Yeah.
So I don't know, but let's not be overly critical. Let's just sort of skim the surface of our dislike. Let's hear what else you got. What else sort of puts you off about that movie?
I think Luke's probably the big topic there, and I think for me too, processing Luke, what his personality turned into, the bitterness. And there's a few things going on there for me. On one hand, I respect that they gave it a go and they've gone in a different direction. I read an article by Love, the gentleman that was the actor in Looper, Gordon
Levitt.
Gordon Levitt. Right. So he's done an article. I read it online yesterday, and he acknowledges that he's worked with Ryan Johnson. He said, "I've finally seen it. I've only just seen it, essentially, busy, etc., etc. And he comes back, and it was an interesting point he made, and I want to sort of give him credit for it. He was saying in some ways it shows Rian Johnson is trusting the audience by taking such a risk.
Right.
And it also, with Luke, and it also shows that Disney, you can't blame them of being, you know, dollar focused only, or etc. So taking such a risk on Luke's character, making him bitter. And then there's the other school of thought that thinks too that with time you change. It's all very possible. Of course, on the other side of that whole thing is seeing Luke turn into a bitter guy. And one of my things was when he picked up the saber, and this is where I sort of struggled. He picked up the saber in thought against Ben Solo. Some people accusing him of going to kill Ben Solo, but I think it was pretty clear that in his sort of view, he turned it on, had second thoughts, immediately felt shameful, turned it off, or didn't turn it off. Sorry, got caught with it on. But it's a little hard to, and I also think with that type of
I don't even like imagining it. Even the sequence itself, I don't like those sequences when they try to young him up with brown hair.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, I remember I was talking to you about maybe they'll show a flashback with a CG Mark Hamill looking very much like, you know, Battlefront 2 or something, you know, but sort of a younger version, maybe still in black. But they just, they used Mark Hamill as he is now, just cut his hair and dyed it brown. I didn't like those scenes hanging over, because I couldn't imagine him doing anything like that. No matter what, you know, it's fake. You wouldn't imagine Ned Stark doing something. It's not very honourable to be killing someone in their sleep, and you wouldn't think a Jedi would act by those same sort of principles of honour. You know, he's not going to be killing someone in their sleep.
It's interesting in an effort to give Kylo Ren or Ben Solo substance, you know, because that, you know, if that's the case, then you can sort of see Ben Solo's view. So in some ways, it sets him up. It helps you empathise with this new villain or this new character, conflicted character. But in some ways, there is an argument that are you servicing your new characters to compromise the classic or the originals, or Skywalker. So I guess I would have to assume that Rian Johnson felt proud of that creative move to make Skywalker that way. I'm sure he wouldn't have done it just for Kylo Ren's sake. But for me as a viewer, it would have been great to have seen him, you know, come back with more force powers through having practiced all that time. I know it's needless. It's needless to say.
It is episode 8 now. Nothing's changing.
Exactly.
That's our episode 8. Right? We're the Star Wars fans.
That's right.
And this is our episode 8. So
100%.
We're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
This is it, right? This is it.
I was there. I've been there on this line in the first couple of weeks this been released. You can't change it. You know, I'd rather not get bogged down. But, you know, like I said, it's those few weeks.
You know, I've said it before, and I don't mean to be arrogant. You know, I'm not like this, but I thought you and I could put our heads together and put a better fucking story together that pays better regard to what everyone truly loves about Star Wars. We were there, but from the beginning. We understand this shit.
And millions of others, buddy.
Imagine this. Imagine Rey going to the island, not just with Chewie, but with Han too. So Han's part of the negotiation. So he doesn't want to train Rey, but then in the background you've got Han and him and some exchange, not just the droid, which was wonderful, but imagine some real man on man. Look at us guys, you know, we were back in the day, we're together, we're young, look at us now, we're old. Luke, what are you doing? We've got to bring this back. You're going to be in? What's going on? I mean, you imagine if Han was in that scene, what that would have been like, the strength of it. You would have been hanging off everywhere. Just, this is wonderful.
Why miss that opportunity to write those two guys together?
They give us like this much of so much, you know. Instead of laying it out like the smorgasbord, they just go, here, you can eat this. You know, I'll give you that as well. Yeah. That's all they did.
That's bizarre.
I know, because they got the platform and the budget to do whatever. Right? So to me, you'd say you from the get-go to the end, how can we fill that with as much goodness, right? Yeah.
Classic.
What do we do?
Yeah. I think we're purists, buddy. I think we're purists. I think we could be rightfully accused as purists.
No lightsaber.
Oh, look, I'm there with you. Yeah.
We've talked in the past about Star Wars having, let's go to that scene, let's go to that scene, let's go to that scene. You know, there's no saber scene in this one. I mean, although that sequence where Rey and Kylo, that's really well done in slow-mo and the choreography to that. So, I mean, I guess that counts for something. It's not all bad.
No, it's not all bad. It's not all, no, absolutely.
There's some good shit in that movie.
Oh, look, with it, so I want to go to another little sort of another topic. Poe and Holdo.
Oh yeah.
Poe and Holdo. So, what do you think? I mean, he's getting upset. She's not telling him much.
It's stupid. You know, what did they do for him? They made him look like a doof.
Yeah.
You know, in the end, he's like, "Oh, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Oh, that could work."
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But then, you know, the online stuff about, you know, being overly pushing feminist views. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, it's just, there's decisions made. It doesn't matter whether it's man or woman's the focus or whatever the outcome is. I'm just saying that Poe comes out looking like a bit of a punk in this one. I like Laura Dern. I thought she was great, and that sequence where she slow-mos through the ship and it's great, gives herself up for it. And you know, even the lines that she has with Poe, you know, I've dealt with guys like you before. And, I thought it was great. She was pure Star Wars. And as I said with Del Toro, he brought it as well. You know,
I liked him.
Don't let the rapper fool you, friend. I like that. Don't let the rapper fool you, friend. It's so Del Toro.
Yeah. Was it Snoke's Boudoir? In the Snoke's Boudoir.
He's even got a twitch and a stutter and all. I don't know. It's just it's got to have something. Probably Del Toro comes in. What do you reckon? I'll give him a stutter. Give him a fucking stutter. I don't know. You're gonna add that? Do it. Go. You do it, Del Toro. But he's great though. He brings it every time he's on the screen. I mean, I love the guy. What do you think of him, Del?
I like him. Yeah. I felt there was a tinge of Han Solo in there. He's a bit dangerous. He's dangerous. He could be morally ambiguous, you know, but you think he leans on the good side when he gives Rose back that, you know, gold.
That's great.
Yeah. No, so
not all bad.
Not all bad. No. R2-D2 on the Falcon with Luke Skywalker. What's your thoughts?
I loved it. And the exchange with him was really friendly. I don't think that could have been done better.
Same.
The situation with R2.
Even watch the language. You know, it's great. Great classic line.
Playing the old thing again. They were tying it in like that. But no
good
complaints
scene,
there.
wasn't it? Good.
The Yoda one I really like, and it's like you. I first saw Yoda and went, oh. CG, what are we doing here? Because it looked a bit odd, but the last few seconds, the last moment where Yoda gives him a bit of wisdom, and then you get that shot from the behind the two of them with the burning tree, and it's just, and it's the Yoda theme, and it's beautiful.
We were there again.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful Star Wars moment.
The conversation, I think, is good. The sequence is good. Besides that,
true mentoring. Yeah. Like, this is the burden that we bear as teachers, as the mentors. It's wonderful. Yeah.
I like that it was that conversation, his visit, that turned him back. Essentially, I feel, because after R2 showed the hologram, isn't that when he went back and said 3 lessons?
Yeah.
So that helped, and then of course it was that Yoda. Exchange that brought him back, I think.
Yeah.
Gave it all perspective. Yoda took him off the hook too. You know, I think it was good. It stopped him blaming himself and allowed his sort of, you know, disillusionment with the Force to ring true and to, you know, letting the books burn, saying whatever, you know, and like Luke, acknowledging the Force is beyond definition, you know, by the Jedi or to be sort of, you know, contained with the Jedi religion.
Yep. Moving on from Luke, Snoke. No bad guys in these movies, buddy. No bad guys.
We've talked about it before, haven't we? The villain, the benefit, the great villain.
I said this to Anna the other day. Imagine that sequence where right at the end, where they're on the red planet with the salt, and you've got Kylo in the ship with Hux. And, imagine if Kylo, rather than just screaming, it was him in the helmet screaming. He still had the helmet. He still had that forceful, angry nature of a villain, a helmet villain, and another one of those signature characteristics of Star Wars, the helmeted villain. That incredible voice, helmet. I'm banging on about the helmet again, but
I'm with you.
It would have been better.
I agree.
Instead, you take out that ship and blast that thing out of the sky. But it's just him screaming rather than the helmet and the voice.
We could have had another colour to the film through having scenes with the helmet, and you pick those times, the times you think the helmet should come out. But obviously he's made the decision that he got rid of the helmet, and that, that was a character journey. So it'd be interesting to see. You would think, if I was JJ, that you would come up, I guess, with a new design. He's rebuilt something. I mean, to me, if I was, I don't know, maybe JJ's going to keep him without a helmet, but I think, JJ, this is time for JJ to do JJ's film, because Ryan Johnson did Ryan Johnson's film. And I think they're professionals, and they'd be above any, JJ feeling Ryan Johnson didn't run with my themes. But at the same time,
take on the challenge.
I think JJ will give himself permission to completely do what he wants. He's not going to go, well, I have to be beholden.
Yes.
So, I think, I'm hopeful for 9.
I read this thing online where JJ's going to come back. Imagine if he comes back and the whole thing, episode 8, was a dream. He wakes up. Where was I? Oh, Ray, lightsaber. Where was I?
I really like it. It's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. Because as much as I love that sequence when Kylo kills Snoke and they fight, and it's all beautiful. It's like the Stanley Kubrick, the Red Room. How beautiful was his throne room? Because it was so plain. It was almost like something out of Buck Rogers. So basic, just a red room, plain floor, nothing to it. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, good set design. I agree.
But, killing Snoke so easily. Snoke is able to do all this stuff. He's able to bring them together in their minds. I was doing all that. I was orchestrating all this stuff. But yet you don't realise that Kylo's grabbing that lightsaber. He's going to, cut
right
in
next
half
to you.
with it.
Yeah.
Right? You don't see that thing twitching.
You even didn't even catch the fact it just moved. You get damage on the right eye or something. You're a bit sort of...
Yeah. So that wasn't any good. That was such the anticlimax. Maybe Ryan Johnson, for all his quality, which we were acknowledging, we're discussing how wonderful he is as well. But you're missing a few points too. But that doesn't go down well. We're not believing that stuff. So. He missed that. The Luke mentally projecting himself instead of actually being in the fight. But that's what we want to see. So maybe Ryan Johnson didn't catch that. Maybe he thought it was okay to do it that way. But no. You've got to be there. Have Luke present.
And if he had died similar to Ben Kenobi in episode 4, he still could have gone down in a similar way. He still could have become one with the Force. The outcome of Luke would have been the same. To have had him there, and then essentially allow himself to be struck down. He doesn't have to stand there and say a couple of lines like
giving
Ben
his
did,
life for the cause.
Yeah,
absolutely.
In a physical manner, being down there. One guy said, "I would love to have seen him crush one of those, walkers with the Force, or bring it down." And I thought, well, gee, that'd be great. And for a few weeks, I was really quite into that. And then I thought about it, and a bit of a logic in me said that, well, Yoda, after so many years, it's not something you'd imagine him doing, or I guess maybe he could. But
it would have been something we hadn't seen. But isn't it the story? And I don't know much of the background, but the Battle of Jakku, when we're seeing all these Star Destroyers where she's fetching stuff, it wasn't Luke involved in that. He was responsible for a lot of that stuff. So maybe he was bringing Star Destroyers out of the sky with the Force.
Well, that would be cool to see. Look, Crate had its good stuff too. I remember you, for one, saying you loved how it was shot, and the red.
What's it called? Crate.
Crate.
Crate. Sorry, that's the name of the planet.
Crate. It was shot well, and when those rusted out sort of speeder bikes were going through the sand, and there was that pattern.
Well, it would have been good if Finn gave his life. I was ready for it to happen.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that would have been strong. That could have been good. No, Rose. Freaking Rose. Rose has got to intervene.
And Rose has been getting a walloping online, at least on some of the sites I've been watching.
Well, she deserves it.
I thought she was cute, bit of a pixie, but in terms of my Star Wars, yeah, I guess I don't know.
I mean, look, I have nothing against her personally. I just didn't enjoy it. It didn't bring much. I mean, I remember seeing Finn for the first time, thinking he was wonderful and interesting, and same with Daisy Wrigley. I didn't get anything out of it. She had the opportunity to do whatever she wanted to. I found her a bit boring. The first scene you see her, she's crying, and it's like, what are you crying about? And then she's telling a story that doesn't even really feel... I don't know. She's not selling it to me. I think that's... the Rose character. Yeah, it's a pretty boring character.
Yeah, I hear it. Almost felt like it went a bit television, you know? It sort of, we're starting to lose that specialness of scenes. We'll start getting into a bit of that chitter-chatter, a bit of that lighter banter. You know, every line should lead to somewhere solid, and every line should be a crafted bit and self-contained. None of this, you know, some people are saying, well, you know, you would know if you read a book, or you would know, and I'm starting to think that whole thing about you need to have read the books or played the games to be able to appreciate it. Well, not all of us have the time, and some of us access our art in a particular way.
You know, we're not that. I love hearing the perspectives of people that understand the books and the wider universe. I love it. I think it's interesting to hear someone commented on one of our posts recently about C-3PO. Yeah. And I was saying how, you know, Poe was a bit of a prick to him, but yet in the books, there's... C-3PO is pivotal in helping Leia with establishing the resistance. So, you know, he's got a big part to play. And Poe acknowledges that in the books at some point, saying that he wants to call him Sir, or should be calling him Sir. So, but why represent him so fucking poorly in the movies, though, you know? To treat him so badly, what does he get? A couple of lines. It's stupid. It really is stupid. I've never agreed with it. With 3PO. Throughout the prequels, these new ones as well. What the fuck are they doing with him?
Yeah, they've made him comic relief.
Scarif? No one tells me anything around here. Yeah. It's one stupid line in Rogue One. They couldn't have done something better for him. Have him part of the story where he actually helps and assists in some way.
Agreed. No, 100%.
This is where it's like, you know, let's pen this one out. You know, what are we going to do with 3PO? Well, we're not going to fucking make him a punk, are we? We're going to do something with it. You know, fucking, you know, shut up. That's what Poe does to him. The second time. The first time is just sort of sarcastic with him and pushes him off. Second time, he really just, shut up!
Yeah, shuts him down. And
calls him a traitor too at one point.
I've sort of forgotten it. That sounds not very good. Yeah, I agree with you. R2's the same. We've got BB-8, but there's a little bit of this element for element routine where they had a droid, so we'll create our droid, and they had a Han Solo, so we'll create our rebel, and they had, there's a little bit of that, and I think in that there's a basic premise that let's create the same elements, you know, in quantity and quality to the best of our ability in there. And I think there was a little bit of a mistake. We didn't have to have droid for droid and swap out all the elements. We could have, but not
swap out. But George will tell you how it's poetic. It rhymes. It rhymes.
That's right.
What else you got in your notes there?
I've made some notes for DJ, Yoda. You know, just before we leave Rose, this is my issue, I think, with that part, was this storytelling. You know, she was on she was on Canto Bright, she was talking about, you know,
the abuse of the animals.
Yeah, abuse of the animals, and the other bit around, you know, taking it to the man, and they're selling arms to both sides, and I get all that. But, you know, and great movies show, they don't tell. So, you know, scenes where there's a lot of exposition, and you say, oh, this happened, and that happened, and that happened, or I feel this, or I feel this, and all this talking about it. You know, it's not great filmmaking in terms of show it, not tell it. You know, of course, you know, these people have taken this creative decision and they're very experienced, but generally speaking, you go to film school, you know, and you'll learn that sort of principle that you want to show in films.
Yeah, look, I hear. It's and that'd be the sort of reservations you'd have with the prequels too, where the dialogue might be too obvious at a point, where the subtleties of just expression would be enough to communicate points. And look, I don't know. I mean, we're here as spectators, buddy. I'm sure when you're trying to direct actors, it's a whole nother kettle of fish. You put in your best efforts and you try and get out what you want.
Absolutely.
Look, Rose, even at the end where she has a sort of death sequence, it's all a bit oh, don't be silly, we're going to win this thing by saving what we love, not killing what we hate. Or the other way around.
I'm with you. Yeah, so look, I thought she was cute. In my Star Wars, I guess it's a struggle for me. Yeah, but
we're going to get a lot more struggles though. But there's more struggles to come. Get used to the struggles, but there'll be good moments. There'll be good moments. There will be bad. Because look, let's talk about the Han Solo for a sec, all right?
Yeah.
They were talking on Collider or something I was watching online about the possibility of Boba Fett being in there, and then them not being arch enemies, them maybe collaborators, like we joked about Greedo and working together. Who knows? It could be on a more civil, and we might see Boba without a helmet and a very different Boba, and maybe Boba's going to feature quite prominently as well, even more so. Maybe like Rogue One, this is going to tie into, maybe the film ends with him walking into the cantina before he meets Luke and Obi, right? And that sounds good. I like that. Or some tie-in, maybe in amongst what we see going on with Han and the origins of Han, we hear that the Empire and Darth Vader's looming, or something that we go, wow, this is killer.
You'd like to have something.
So, and Ron Howard's at the helm, and I really have faith in that guy. You've seen stuff that he's done. He's a real sort of heart, soul, beautiful movies. Everything that he does has some sort of heart to it.
Nice job.
Yeah, I think so. Richie Cunningham.
Richie Cunningham. You can't go too far wrong with Richie, can you? You really can't.
He's got the cool mundo.
Yeah. The last thing on The Last Jedi I wanted to sort of bring up was Rey's parents. So where are you at with Rey's parents, or should we say the lack thereof of anything worthy of note in Rey's parents?
Because you wanted something. This is like all the points that were just not followed through with. This is a really important another point that wasn't followed through with. There was such the discussion. Who are your parents? What is it? Is big reveal in the new movie. To disregard that, I think Ryan, you couldn't even give him the benefit of the doubt there. You'd have to say, you knew what you're doing there. You disregard it. You grab that lightsaber, throw it over his shoulder. Come on, give us some thoughtful words or something where we can, as fans, go, wow, he's really, share in that moment. As fans, we want to enjoy and share that thrown over the shoulder. Even the way he just walked away felt so
contrived,
forced. Yeah, it really didn't feel right. Didn't feel right.
Yeah, it didn't. That walk off. I agree.
So
felt staged. Felt
with Daisy
contrived.
Wrigley. I thought Daisy Wrigley was much more interesting in Force Awakens. Much more interesting. This movie here, there seems to be parts where I don't understand the link from one point to another. It was played down. It wasn't used to its potential. Much more interesting character in Force Awakens.
Yeah, agreed. I like Finn in Force Awakens.
This is great. It was gold. Some of that exchange with Harrison Ford. You just call me Solo.
Yeah.
I loved it, Women always find out the truth. Always. I love it. That's not how the Force works. We'll use the Force. I loved him. It was great. It was great. Really cool, but underused. But Oscar Isaac was well done. I love when he kicks the chair when he's pissed off, and this is almost mutiny, or this is being such cowards, and he's very assertive in parts, and I enjoyed his character.
Me too.
I enjoyed it.
Me too. Right from the beginning, with that first conversation with Hux. Yeah, biggie.
So reservations with Rey.
Rey's parents. My issue here is being legacy films, they are following the Skywalker family line at the moment. Now, we've got Ben Solo, who is Skywalker, but if she's not, then the film essentially is really the tale of Ben Solo. But it's not really played out that way. It's always her. We're always with her. We're always following her. So she is somebody. Now, if she's not a Skywalker, and this is essentially a Skywalker tale, my thinking is you sort of an idea could be to acknowledge a new bloodline. You know, so the Rays, you know, but obviously we've got force sensitivity of a strong magnitude. She's there, she's rocking it as well as the Skywalkers we saw ever did, or Luke did, you know, and that's what a lot of people's issue is, how easily the force is coming to her. But if that is going to be the case, then that bloodline's worthy of acknowledgement. You know, what is a Skywalker before it had the force? It's just another space family.
Look, and I'm not discounting your point. But even the prequels established that force-sensitive people was a wider thing. You know, you had all those younglings that were all force-sensitive, and other Jedis. You know, you had that battle of Geonosis, and there's so many. You know, there's many a force-sensitive person. Yeah. Although Star Wars has been centered around them, maybe it's trying to establish that it doesn't have to have the huge origins for a character to be force-sensitive.
Yeah. Fair point.
I mean, look, you know, we're not really slamming this movie. You know, we're just seeing the bits we like and observing the bits that we have problems with. But you know, I think that's fair. I agree with you. Luke could have come off so much better. Ray could have come off so much better. Finn could have come off so much better. You know, there's many things I would change. But then there's beautiful moments like seeing the X-Wing under the water.
Yeah, I loved that.
Oh, yeah, it was
great shot.
When Chewie bursts in, I love that.
That was
the way
brilliant.
Luke responds to him. You know, where's Han? That was beautifully done. I would have liked to heard more reflecting on Han, but just that alone was beautiful. So there were many a moment.
Yeah.
In summing up, bud. Well, overall, what's your take? And your take can be revised. I think that's important too. You know, it may be that 6 months from now you're feeling differently again. But today you've enjoyed it. You've seen it again. You've heard some online stuff. You've rethought some of your position on it. How do you feel now, even just after our discussion about it? You know?
I feel it'll need time to put it in perspective. I guess for me, I think what will survive will be the Yoda scene, the Luke seeing Leia's hologram, maybe Kylo and Rey fighting the Praetorian Guard. So there'll be those scenes that'll stick, like any Star Wars film, the ones that are your favourites, that you'll watch it for almost. And it'll probably continue to exist by that. You know, when I think of Attack of the Clones, I'm with Django, I'm with Dooku, and Phantom Menace, I'm with Darth Maul. I mean, essentially, a lot of those movies outside the trilogy, I'm just with key scenes of key cool shit happening. You know, I'm a big kid like the next one. So for The Last Jedi, I'll take those scenes I thought were good. The Yoda, especially, probably be the standout with the Yoda. You know, good stuff from Yoda. It's actually really high value. Even in Empire, you got obviously as much as anything, but to have Yoda really in there, and it's new content.
Skywalker again. I like that.
And it's new content, it's new learning, it's a new topic within, you know, so, you know, credit where credit is due. I guess that's quite special in Star Wars lore. Now, if the only thing off was the puppet and everything else in terms of what he said and character is all there, then, you know, that's going to stand a testament of time. That scene alone, and people will, but that scene. And so I guess, you know, there's lots of reasons why someone would love a film, or a film would take its position in history, but for me it's probably going to be some of those scenes.
And look, I know I joked about it earlier, reservations. There'll be more, there'll be many. You know, what we love so much is changing. And we're enjoying the tribute to what was now. That's all we're doing. But now it's done. You know, they've done Han, they've done Leia, and they've done Luke. They've killed him off. So now it is what it's going to be. And we might find ourselves even more detached from it as the years come.
Getting off the train.
Maybe not, you know, hopefully
not completely.
Not
we will always go and watch it.
We were excited by what's been going on, and to me, it's all better than nothing.
Yes,
right. It could easily just be sitting on the shelf. Those 3 movies, and then 6. But, you know, I'm so glad that Star Wars is back on everyone's mind. Celebration is important. Star Wars, it's an annual thing, and it's an enjoyable activity every year. I know it's morbid, but I said to my kids, I said, you know, if anything ever happens to your dad, just every year in tribute, you go and see the Star Wars movie with your dad. Right? So they've agreed.
Cool.
They've agreed.
That's cool.
But, you know, I hope to keep watching it and even just see how our impression of it evolves too. So this is us today. Still very close to what was, our perspective on what was compared to what is, but then what comes next won't have anything to do with what was, or a lot less, and even more so as things keep progressing. And Disney will change their focus. At the moment, they're cashing in on all the legacy fandom and, you know, or everything, the hype that comes around it. But in time, it's going to have to stand on its own 2 feet. It may develop a slightly different audience. So we'll see.
More than likely. And you know, then there's the standalones, which is exciting. So
I love the
Solo.
standalones. I love the
Standalones have done well so far with Rogue One out the box.
We've talked about penning one out ourselves. We should do a standalone because the other stuff can evolve in many different ways, but at least the standalone, you say something about it, Ambril Akbar or you know, Snaggletooth. Snaggletooth.
Or a group of them.
Really dig deep with Snaggletooth.
What if a group of them did a heist? Just something small. So a group of the guys from Cantina did a heist on Tatooine. Nothing major, but a little bit of law enforcement, a little bit of stormtrooper law enforcement. Then doing the heist, a little bit of blasting and people dying.
And get those real old, like 1977 release characters from the Cantina.
Yeah. There's that snake thing, and there's those ones they changed. You know, there used to be the werewolf guy that he got the cut.
Wasn't he drinking a beer or something?
I think he had a big
Who was the one
stein.
who poured in his head?
Now that's cool. He's one of my faves, but he's actually from the holiday special with B. Arthur. So there's a lady behind the bar in the cantina, which is some of my favourite stuff from the holiday special. Is that cantina stuff?
I'm not even that familiar with the holiday special.
No, I'm not. You know, I've only watched it a few times. I remember that big. I saw a bit on YouTube.
So what do you reckon, bud? I think that's it in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, The Last Jedi. You know, let's see what time does.
Happy? Should we say happy?
Yeah, I think we should say happy. There's enough there to be happy with. I'm happy with Yoda and Luke.
Out of 10. And I know that's really overly simplifying it, but out of 10. What do you reckon?
All right. It's hard. It's hard.
With perspective to the others. And again, this is your today opinion. And these opinions vary. What's your today opinion?
Okay. Look, Where
does it sit in amongst them all to you? Does it sit at the bottom? Is it sit in amongst some others? Where does it sit?
I like the sequel trilogy, and I generally prefer it to the prequels because I do see some of the dialogue, some of the exchanges a bit more real, and not as wooden, not as scripted. So I do like them better. So I generally would have The Last Jedi above a prequel. I think The Force Awakens might just have nabbed it with a little bit of magic, a little bit of, you know, so I would possibly put it back behind The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens goes behind the original trilogy. And Rogue One goes above The Force Awakens for me. I think, you know, you probably agree, but Rogue One, so it'd be the original trilogy, Rogue One, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, followed by the prequels, which would be Revenge of the Sith first.
Yeah, no, I see that. Rogue One's a funny one because, you know, at first I wasn't sure what to take of it, and then ever since it's really grown. A lot of it's got to do with the soundtrack too. Like it's even though it's not even John Williams, I think the guys did a great job.
Me too. Yeah.
But yeah, my opinion would be, I think Force Awakens still before The Last Jedi, and at the moment, I'd even say Rogue One before The Last Jedi.
I agree. Rogue One. Yeah.
And the prequels, of course, they come after. Oh, they get a hard rap, don't they?
They do.
When will they ever get their time to shine, those fucking prequels?
People are giving them more credit at the moment. So a lot of people prefer them to the sequel trilogy, and a lot of people prefer them to the original trilogy. A lot of people prefer. They tend to be younger. They tend to be the ones who are that sweet spot, grew up with it. They prefer it, and, you know, all the power to them. It's you know, it's Star Wars for them, and
Anyway, this has been great, bud.
It's been great, buddy.
Good
been
chatting
great.
with you.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bud.
You too.
Till the
Take
next
care,
time.
buddy. Cheers.
Cucarachas enojadas